In the backdrop of a haunted village, we see destruction everywhere as a man named Ethan searches for his wife Olivia, but when he finds her, she vanishes into thin air. After this, a giant dragon appears and presents itself to our hero. He is shocked to see the beast in front of him, and then the dragon attacks him without mercy. Ethan panics upon this sight but wakes up to realize he was just having a nightmare. Olivia is alive and well, as can be seen by how she's cooking her food, and then Ethan gets romantic with her to show his appreciation. We learn that Olivia is pregnant, and then a boy named Louis walks in on the couple. He is shown to be somewhat of a foster child as he's taken care of by the couple after losing his parents in a tragic incident. Olivia likes to think of Louis as her own kid, and then Ethan takes the boy out on a hunting trip. The men move forward into the forest, and then they come across some angry soldiers who act suspiciously. However, there's nothing to worry about, as the main commander shows up and shoos his soldiers away. Louis is more of a mischievous boy and he taunts the soldiers, but then Ethan tells him to calm down. Now, the men start their hunting lessons, but Louis gets carried away and fires an arrow at a wolf. Unfortunately, this wolf is with his pack, and it attacks Louis with rage. Luckily, Ethan comes to the rescue and fights off the wolf, after which he asks Louis to run away. He rushes to the soldiers and begs them for help, so they decide to offer their assistance. We move back to Ethan, who has taken down some wolves, but is struggling against them. Suddenly the wolves stop fighting and howl into the night sky, suggesting something ominous. That's when a red dragon appears, and it's the exact same beast our hero had seen earlier in his dream. The dragon wreaks havoc and unleashes his fire blast all over the village, killing everyone in his sight. The soldiers try their best to fight the overpowered dragon, but it's a losing cause as they are no match for his brute force. Ethan tries to make it back to the village as soon as he can and meets some survivors, but the dragon returns and kills them as well. Our hero runs into the village hoping to find his family and is able to reunite with Olivia and Louis. Unfortunately, what follows is a heart-shattering experience as the dragon arrives and eats Louis, after which he smacks Ethan away only to burn Olivia with his flames in front of his eyes. Ethan cannot move because of his injuries, but the dragon can sense hatred in him, so he advises him not to let such thoughts consume his mind. The dragon rips out Ethan's heart and eats it up, after which our hero meets Olivia's soul in a spirit dimension. She simply tells him to live an honorable life rather than a vengeful one, and then she vanishes. Ethan wakes up the next day, but sees the scar on his chest and realizes what he saw was not a dream. He steps out to see the burnt remains of his village, and then he is greeted by a knight pawn who offers to be his bodyguard. We see the pawn walking towards a stone and touching a symbol on it that seemingly transports her to the burning village. That's when we learn that this is a flashback, and the pawn was the person who had saved Ethan from certain doom. Back to the present, Ethan looks around the area and finds Olivia's broken bracelet that reminds of what the dragon did to her. The pawn goes on to say that Ethan isn't arisen because his heart was taken by a dragon, and he still managed to survive. Ethan curses his life by stating he should have died with his family, but then he hears the dragon's voice inviting him to his lair. The pawn offers to come along as she is in his service now. The duo gets ready and sets out on their trip together, after which they hunt down some animals and have dinner. Ethan decides to call the pawn Hannah, and she willingly accepts the name, but then the couple sees a cyclops monster walking around. It turns out that the monster is about to eat a girl prisoner, so Ethan attacks it to save her. Things get tricky, but then Hannah unleashes a flaming arrow to distract the cyclops and save the girl. After feeding her, our heroes take the girl back to her village, but the father is unhappy because his daughter had been selected as a sacrifice for the cyclops. Some goons show up and threaten the family into giving them their food so that they don't snitch on them to the king. After that, Ethan offers his own food to the family so that they can enjoy a meal together. Ethan is reminded of his own family when he sees the other kids, and then he goes to meet the fat king who is feasting on a lavish dinner. Our hero is disgusted by this behavior, so he rebukes the selfish king and leaves. He decides to put an end to this charade and makes a plan to kill the cyclops later at night. In the middle of the trap, he and Hannah are attacked by the cyclops and a brief battle follows. That's when the fat king shows up and reveals that he's simply using the cyclops as a tool to scare the villagers into giving him food. Ethan is even more disgusted to hear this, but he needs to fight the cyclops first. A tense battle follows, filled with impressive moves, and then Hannah awakens Ethan's flame sword to allow him to kill the cyclops through his eye. The king is taken as a prisoner, and our hero believes that the worst is now behind him, but the villagers show their true colors and raid the palace, proving that humans can never be selfless. Ethan moves on from this dreadful experience and carries on with Hannah on his journey with Hannah to fight and kill the dragon. However, he hears a cry for help and rushes towards it, much to Hannah's dismay. It turns out that a girl named Elizabeth is being attacked by an army of goblins while her knights, Simon and Balthazar, are unable to help her. Things get tough, especially as Elizabeth's husband Theo is shown to be a coward, but then Ethan and Hannah show up and kill the goblins to drive the others away. Elizabeth starts flirting with Ethan, much to Theo's dismay, and even her knights feel that she's being a little shady. Regardless, our hero sits down with the knights and gets to know them for a bit. They eventually decide to team up for the time being, and Ethan takes the night watch. In the middle of the night, Elizabeth tries to seduce Ethan, even though her husband is right there. Elizabeth states that she only married Theo for his money, and he's broke now, so she doesn't care for him. The blonde mistress does her best to pull some moves on our hero, but then Theo shows up, so she rebukes him and walks away. Suddenly, a griffin beast arrives, so the fighters get together to take it on. The griffin is shown to be an overpowered monster with amazing wing strength, and things only get worse when the goblins show up for round 2. The knights are occupied with the griffin, so Theo has to take the lead and kill the goblins with his sword. The griffin dominates the fighters, so Ethan thinks fast and offers himself to the beast. He gets caught, but this is all part of his plan to trick the griffin so that the team can fight it and send it away. Theo finally manages to prove his merit, but he goes crazy for a minute and kills Elizabeth. He is mocked for being an idiot, and after he realizes his mistake, Theo stabs himself as well. There's nothing much Ethan can do about this, so he bids the knights farewell and then he explores a village with Hannah. There's nobody here, but then the couple finds a girl named Lenny farming for potatoes. She reveals that everyone has been shooed away because of the dragon, and then she takes our heroes to a cave. It is revealed that there is a special kind of moss here, and then the team enters a tent. Here, they find a man named Young who is believed to be Lenny's husband, but he is busy with a harem of girls. Ethan realizes this is because of the moss, which can be smoked to give the users a feeling of utopia that makes them want to act out their wildest desires. After talking about the dangers of getting addicted to the moss, Lenny advises Ethan and Hannah to use another exit point from the cave so that they can reach the dragon. Hannah seems to doubt Lenny's intentions, even though Ethan wants to believe that she is a good person. Regardless, the couple moves forward and comes across a pool where Ethan is attacked by a Hydra snake dragon and Hannah has to use her ultimate flame ball to save him. A tense sequence follows as our hero does his best to fight the Hydra dragon, but all his slashes are laid to waste as the dragon can regenerate its head. Meantime, Young gets another puff of the drug, but then the Hydra dragon shows up and attacks him. Lenny gets swallowed in the process, and then Ethan shows up with Hannah to save him. Our hero scolds Young for being useless and blames him for Lenny's apparent death. He gets into a fight with the Hydra dragon along with Hannah, but they get overpowered with ease and the blonde pawn is taken down. Ethan is about to be next, but Young distracts the dragon long enough for our hero to be saved. After seeing what's happened with Hannah, Ethan triggers his inner dragon powers and unleashes a flurry of attacks that slashes up the Hydra dragon as it's nothing. Ethan goes to check up on Hannah and is relieved to see that she can come back to life because of her pawn powers. Now, the Hydra dragon is slashed open and Lenny is shown to still be alive. Now that Young has realized his mistakes, he finally decides to leave Moss Town so that he can live happily with Lenny. Meanwhile, a skull demon attacks a couple of men who have come looking for treasure. We suddenly move to a battle where Ethan and Hannah are fighting a skeleton army that is being commanded by the skull demon. Ethan seems to be in dragon mode, so Hannah has to calm him down and then they make a run for it. Our heroes bump into some knights and then everyone runs away from the skeleton army. After learning that the skeletons are afraid of the light, the team moves to safety, and then it turns out that the knights include Simon and Balthazar. Ethan learns that the capital wants to kill the skull demon, which is called a lick, and is asked to help Simon and Balthazar with this task. But he is not interested in any side quests now, because he wants to kill the dragon. Simon and Balthazar are shocked by his change of behavior, so they offer a reward by saying they know the location of the dragon's lair. This gets Ethan to agree to their request, but his attitude has clearly changed because of his dragon mode. Now, the team moves into the demon church, and they find an endless supply of treasure, but then the lick demon shows up and attacks them. A tense battle follows, and it gets tougher by the second as there are too many skeleton demons to fight. Ethan attacks the skull demon with all his might, but it's of no use as it is already dead. Our hero gets knocked away and the others get surrounded, so Hannah acts fast and steals some treasure to distract the skull demon. This triggers him to follow after her, and then she breaks down the roof to unleash sunlight. This kills all the skeletons, and then Ethan finishes things off by stabbing the skull demon through his body. Now, everyone goes back to the treasure room, and Ethan gives Balthazar a coin which he doesn't realize is cursed. This makes Balthazar greedy, so he stabs Simon and starts talking about the treasure as if he is the new skull demon. This leads the knights to fight each other in a duel to death, and both of them end up dying in the process. Simon is able to reveal to Ethan that the dragon is resting at the Tainted Mountain, and then he is put to rest by our hero after Hannah reassures him that Balthazar will not turn into a lick. As our heroes set out for their next mission, we see a seductive witch draining the life force from an excited man. Our heroes enter the same village where this demon woman is present, and Hannah wants Ethan to rest, but he is hell-bent on killing the dragon as soon as possible, even though there is no guarantee that he will emerge victorious this time. Regardless, Ethan decides to get some rest in the night, while Hannah gets some food from a local store owner. He tells her about young, strong men being found dead at night, hinting that this is the work of the seductive witch. Meanwhile, Ethan wakes up to see Olivia in front of him, and he cannot believe his eyes. He tries to make sense of what's going on, and then Olivia puts his hand on her heart to take us to a flashback. We learn from some kids that Ethan's mom ended up dying from illness after giving birth to him, and his dad followed soon after. However, Olivia shoos the kids away from the idle talk and then she confesses her love to our hero. Ethan is scared of losing his family, but Olivia promises him that she will always be by his side. Now, Ethan is about to give in to the witch's temptation, but he sees Olivia's bracelet and is reminded of his failure to protect her. This triggers him into choking the witch to death, even as Hannah offers to help him out. After a brutal murder, Ethan decides that he's had enough of playing around, so he goes to the dragon's lair immediately to reach the end of his story. Ethan and Hannah reach the tainted mountain and decide to enter its cave despite the sinister energy being exuded from it. It doesn't take long for the dragon to show up, and it challenges our heroes with great confidence. Ethan begins the onslaught, and Hannah does her best to help him out, but it's of no use as the dragon is way too powerful for them to counter. Ethan hides behind a pillar, and the dragon taunts him by saying humans are inferior beings. He even gives examples of all the previous experiences Ethan has had with humans so far and states that mortals are not worthy of any emotions. Ethan has nothing to say to the dragon, so he takes Hannah's help to launch another attack, but he gets thrown away once again. The dragon taunts Ethan and challenges him to defeat him, after which a brutal attack follows. Ethan works with Hannah to trick the dragon into a trap, but it's of no use as the mighty beast emerges from the rubble unscathed. He tries to fly away, but Ethan hangs onto him while Hannah watches on helplessly. The dragon tells Ethan that he does not require food or sleep, but simply kills humans because he is a dragon and it is in his nature. Ethan doesn't agree with the dragon's words and begins stabbing him everywhere. The dragon is temporarily knocked down as he crashes into the lair, and then he gets serious with Ethan. He unleashes his flames on our hero, and things look tough, but then Hannah gives him a holy sword, and he uses it to stab the dragon in the heart. Ethan emerges as the winner, but his inner dragon awakens and he rips out the dragon's heart. As our hero eats the heart, the dragon reveals that they are connected by the sin of pride, and he used to be a human as well. That's when the big twist arrives and we learn that Ethan will also turn into a dragon because he has been cursed. The dragon reveals that this is a curse that even he had to live with, and all he hoped for was death. This is exactly why he killed Olivia, because he was looking for someone to kill him. Ethan had succeeded in this mission, so the dragon does not offer any apologies and scatters into the dust. Our hero is hopeless because he has lived long enough to see himself become the villain. Ethan begs Hannah to kill him so that he does not turn into a dragon, but she is unable to do so because she is his pawn. Now, Ethan transforms into a dragon and is about to kill Hannah, but he manages to keep his humanity. He tells her that she must always protect the humans from him, and then he flies away, leaving behind his bracelets. Hannah takes these bracelets and begins her new purpose as a protector of humans from the master she once loved. The end. Like, share, and subscribe for more videos. See you soon.